Have you been injured on the job? Has your workers' comp carrier denied your claim? Are they giving you all the benefits that you deserve? Getting hurt on the job can change a person's life forever, and you deserve to be compensated for your loss of income. But workers' comp laws can be tricky, and if you wait too long, you could miss out on benefits you might have otherwise received. At Harrison Hartman Law Firm, we can answer all your questions and can help you with all your workers' compensation benefits. We'll even deal with your insurance company and your adjuster so you don't have to. So if you've been hurt on the job, call the Harrison Hartman Law Firm today for a free consultation. Harrison Hartman has been helping injured workers in Georgia since 1972, and we can help you get the workers' comp benefits you deserve. So call today because the call is free and the benefits could last a lifetime.